Hey everyone, today we're going to dig into the story behind that 2021 family film, The Wolf and the Lion. You know, it's one of those movies with a premise so wild you just have to ask, what's real and what's just movie magic? Well, let's find out together.
So the movie is about this young music student named Alma. After her grandfather passes away, she finds herself all alone on his super remote Canadian island. And then, through this crazy series of events, we're talking a literal plane crash, she ends up becoming a mom to a lost lion cub and a little wolf pup, raising them together like they're brothers, all in secret, of course.
It is such a heartwarming, almost unbelievable story, right? Which brings us to the big one, the question that probably brought you here in the first place. Is any of this incredible story actually true?
Okay, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at the film's family. Then, we're going to separate fact from fiction. After that, we'll dive into the amazing real-life bond between the animals, dissect the movie's kind of complicated message, see why critics and audiences were so split, and finally, the part you're all waiting for, we'll find out where these incredible animals are today.
All right, first up, let's just quickly get on the same page about the story the movie tells, this really unlikely family.
The whole setup is just pure adventure, right? Alma is grieving, and suddenly her life is turned completely upside down. A lion cub that was supposed to go to a circus literally falls from the sky into her life, and at the exact same time she finds this tiny wolf pup whose mom was just captured. So what does she do? She decides to raise them in secret, and somehow, these two animals that should be enemies become the best of friends, true brothers.
Which, of course, brings us right back to that main question. Was any of that real? Let's peel back the layers and figure out what's fact and what's pure Hollywood fiction.
The short answer is nope, not at all. The story of Alma and her animal family, as heartwarming as it is not based on a true story. The plot is completely, 100% a work of fiction.
So where did the idea come from? Well, the script was written by the director Gilles Demeister and his wife Prune. And the whole concept actually sparked to life on the set of their other animal movie, Mia and the White Lion. The director was just chatting with this legendary animal trainer, Andrew Simpson, and they kind of realized, hey, has anyone ever made a movie that stars both a wolf and a lion? And boom, that one conversation planted the seed for this entire film. But, and this is where this story gets really interesting. While the human plot is made up, the most unbelievable part of the movie is actually completely real.
This is what makes the movie so special. The wolf, his real name is Paddington, by the way, and the lion, named Walter, they are real animals who literally grew up together for this film. The director was absolutely insistent on capturing a genuine relationship, so there is zero CGI, zero special effects in their scenes together. What you are seeing on that screen is a real friendship.
So how in the world did they pull this off? Well, Paddington and Walter were introduced to each other, and to the main actress Molly Kunz, when they were just 5 weeks old. The entire movie was a super long process. It took a year and a half to film, which let the crew just document them as they actually grew up together. They even kept the script loose so they could change it based on how the animals were really behaving and interacting with each other.
And this quote from the director, Gilles Demeister, really sums it all up. He said, "What I like is to have the real relationship and the emotion it gives, that you cannot do with CGI. It's impossible." For him, that authentic bond was everything. It was the whole point of the movie.
But, you know, making a movie this way, it definitely raised some eyebrows. It brings us to the film's message, which is actually a little more complicated than it seems on the surface.
So, the message the film wants you to walk away with is a really beautiful one. It's all about unity, about family. The idea is, hey, if a wolf and a lion, two natural-born enemies, can learn to love each other like brothers, then surely we humans can get over our differences, right? It's a sweet parable. But then, you have the other side of the coin. As one critic, Sean P. Means, pointed out, there's this tricky ethical question here. The movie's message is all about letting wild animals be wild, but to make it, they had to raise 2 predators in captivity specifically for our entertainment. So is it heartwarming or is it kind of creepy? It's a tough one.
And this exact tension, this conflict between the message and the method, was perfectly reflected in how the film was received. It created this huge split between what the critics thought and what regular audiences felt.
And I mean, the divide was massive. On Metacritic, critics gave it a score of just 36 out of 100. They called the plot flimsy and even laughably bad. But on Rotten Tomatoes, the audience score was a whopping 90%. Viewers called it heartwarming and a beautiful story.
It really seems like audiences fell in love with the real animal friendship, while critics just couldn't get past the human storyline and those tricky ethical questions.
So, after this incredible production and all the debate, what happened to the real stars of the show? This brings us to our final and I think best part of the story. Where are Walter and Paddington now?
And here is the wonderful conclusion to their real-life story. By the time filming was done, Walter and Paddington were completely inseparable. The film's team just knew it would be totally cruel to separate them. So, today, they live together full-time at animal trainer Andrew Simpson's reserve up in Alberta, Canada. That brotherly bond you saw on screen, it's still going strong to this day.
And that really leaves us with the big question about this film's legacy. Is The Wolf and the Lion a beautiful, true story of an impossible friendship captured for the world to see? Or is it a movie whose methods kind of undermine the very message it's trying to send? The answer, just like the relationship between a wolf and a lion, really isn't so simple.